to get started, you want to attach all your cords to your button and you want to pull them out on equal length at either side. And once you've got them all onto the button, you can clip your button to the top of the board. And then you want to take your two longest cords to the outside. And you want to clip the rest of your cords to the bottom of your board. So to secure everything in place, I'm going to do a few square knots. So I'm going to go over, over and through. And then under, under and through. And then you can do as many or as few square knots here as you want. So I'm going to do quite a few just so it's flatter at the bottom part. So I've done square knots for about 1 inch to start off the bracelet, and that's because that's going to be underneath the wrist, so it's a lot easier to rest that on something if you don't have beads on it, but you can start with beads right from the beginning if you prefer. So to begin the next part of the pattern, I want to take out one of my colours, and then I want to clip the rest of the cords back in the centre. So the white is going to go to the outside, or whatever colour you've got as your background colour is going to be left while you do this next bit. And again, you want to do a couple of square knots. So once you've square knotted this colour, you can do another one if you want, depending on the size of your bead. And then you want to take your first bead and thread it onto the outside cord. And then you want to do the same thing with the other cord at the outside. And then you want to take the colour that you've just worked in the centre and clip it back with the other cords. And then you want to take your outside colour again and then do a square knot over all your cords like you did there. Sometimes you do need to adjust it a little bit as you're doing it, just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then you want to take your next colour, so you can pick whichever colour you want, and then pull those cords out, and then clip the rest of the colours back to the bottom of the board. And then you want to repeat with your next colour what you did with the first one, and just do a square knot over the cords in the centre. And then just push it up if you need to, just to cover up the cords that you're knotting over. And again, you want to add beads to your outside cord. And the same thing at the other side. And then you can clip the colour that you've just worked back to the bottom of the board, and then square knot over both of them. And then you want to take your last colour that you haven't worked yet, and then clip the rest to the bottom of the board like you did each time before. And then you're going to do your square knots over these, again leaving your outside colour free. And then again, you're just going to add beads to your outside cord. And this is the pattern that you're going to keep repeating all the way down until you've got the bracelet as long as you want it. So once you've added the last of your beads, you can once again clip all your other colours in the centre, and then take your outside colour, and you can do square knots, and you want to do as many square knots as you did at your beginning. So once you've done that, you can remove your clip from the bottom of the board, and then you want to separate your cords into two sections, and then you want to leave an outside cord at one side and clip one half of the remainder to the bottom of the board. And then you want to create your buttonhole by going over and then under. And you want to do this until you've made your gap large enough to fit your button through. So how big you make it will depend on the size of your button. So it's a good idea to measure as you go along, and you just want to keep doing your knots, going over and through, and under and through, until you've got the size big enough. And once you've done that at this side, you want to do the same thing at this side. So once you've knotted at both sides, you can take all the cords in the centre and you want to clip them back to the bottom of the board. And then you can do square knots to fasten up your buttonhole. So once you've done all your square knots, you can trim and seal any excess. So I'm going to use a lighter to seal, but you could use glue if you prefer. And once you've finished, you should end up with something that looks like this. So now you just want to try on your bracelet. And that is your completed bracelet.